Now this illustration deals with a table long gone in the code. Typical ambient design temperatures. We put this in the 1971 NEC, and it was a guideline table for people to review. And the table was 310.20C in the 1971 NEC. Now, we were kind of giving a location to be concerned about, and that would be like well-ventilated, normally heated buildings. Then you see the temperature there normally was just 86 degrees Fahrenheit for that type of run, and that complied with the table 310.16 information above that table that we've talked about that deals with 3 current carrying conductors in a raceway routed through an ambient temperature of 86 degrees Fahrenheit or less. And then we listed buildings with major heat sources as power stations or industrial processes. And we said start off with a 50 degrees C, 122 degrees Fahrenheit. That's where we would start to design the circuit. And notice it's 75 degrees C, 167 degrees Fahrenheit. But now notice the very top location that we just discussed about well-ventilated, normally heated buildings. We have a little asterisk over in the last column and says, see the note below. And the note states 60 degrees C and really up, including 8 AWG copper and up to number 6 AWG aluminum or copper clad, and 75 degrees for 8 AWG copper and number 6 aluminum or copper clad. And we're saying these are the application based upon 60 degrees C and 75 degrees C terminals. And you know, they begin to really have equipment that was 60 degrees/75. But people took this to heart. We had folks wanting in a dwelling unit where it wasn't properly vented or and the circuits were very seldom ever used. They were running number 6 wire and then splicing with number 12 and dropping it down in the wall to terminate to lighting fixtures and plugs. And some were even running to a pull box that was beside the octagon box for a fixture and splicing to number 12 there. And it just got so far out of hand that when we published the 75 code with all of its revisions, with industrial sites for the first time identified as with articles in the 75 NEC, we deleted this table because of the problems that it was causing. And you can see, if you look at the location where the wires routed, and it says poorly ventilated spaces, such as attics, start with 113 degrees Fahrenheit. And you could terminate to 75 degrees C terminals if the terminals was rated for that. And this table, I just can't tell you how many problems it caused. So we got rid of it and said, let the designing engineer decide where correction factors and adjustment factors needed to be applied as the code would require. So with that thought in mind, this is a good table to use as just a recommendation if these problems exist. But remember, sometimes when you would provide correction factors for a run of conduit and conductors and so forth, are they loaded up? Are they just occasionally used? It's a design criteria, not a mandatory type criteria in some cases. As long as you can stay with the overall operation of 86 degrees Fahrenheit as required in table 310.16 with 3 current carrying conductors or less, and you do not overheat that insulation, then designing engineers along with contractors, installers, with the approval of the authority having jurisdiction, will allow such installations to take place, such as in a dwelling unit. We have number 12 wire for, say, a non-metallic sheet cable. They call that rope or Romex. AC cable, or the OBX. Those wiring methods, feeding lights, plugs, and things like that, are very seldom ever loaded up. So they're never loaded to a point that the load on the conductor can cause, due to the outside temperature where it's routed, to create a heating problem that could damage the insulation. So a lot of authorities having jurisdiction, plan checkers and so forth, with state, county, or city, do not require these conductors to be number 8 or number 6 in the attic due to what information I just quoted to you. So keep that in mind. In this illustration you see here, dealing with the typical ambient design temperature. Notice that, typical. Figure 8-21 illustrates a table that is no longer in the NEC.